Denise Meridith, welcome to the Financial Policy Council podcast, Money Talks.
Glad to be here.
So you've been now with the Project Liberty team for around 6 months. You have an incredible track record in government, entertainment, the private sector. You're on the board of directors of Cornell University. That's remarkable. I have a few questions for you here, for our audience. Can you share with us an instance where you faced an unexpected challenge in one of your leadership roles and how you navigated that situation?
Okay. Yeah, I have had many of those challenges because I was always the first everything of which I got, either first woman or person of color. So it came upon the time that I was selected as the director of the Eastern region of the Bureau of Land Management. Bureau of Land Management is the largest land management agency in the country, 263 million acres. And what I was given the responsibility for was the Eastern region, which was 31 states that bordered on and east of the Mississippi
Impressive.
River. So I was the first woman state director to get that position. So what happens is I go there, I arrive, and GSA, which is a federal agency that handles all the real estate issues, had hoped that I didn't get there in time, but they had reassigned that office to a new location. And so I got there and I said, I need to see the new location. So I go there, and as people know in Washington, you can go down one street and it's fine. You turn the corner and it's a different thing.
Yeah.
So they showed me the location, and it was a building. All the windows of the first floor were shot out, by gunfire.
Cool.
And there was a bar there, and I said, well, we can evict the bar people. And I thought that would make us really popular in the neighborhood, right? And we could fix the windows. And I said, no. Okay, I cannot. I'm a firm believer that the environment that you put people in really dictates how well people perform. And this, because it was the Eastern region, and the Bureau of Land Management is mainly a Western organization, and it was also had the highest minority population in the Bureau. I think they were putting it down. Well, we'll just put them anywhere.
Very interesting.
So I said, and GSA is a big organization, very powerful organization.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to be the first woman state director and also the first director ever fired because I'm going to say, no, we're not moving into that building. So I said no. But the backstory is that you have to have all your ducks in a row
Always.
before you do that. So one, I had political backing all the way to the top. I was really well supported in getting that position. I called some of my friends at a higher level. I said, well, this is the issue, and this is what they want me to do. This is what I'm going to say. Do you have a problem with that? And they go, nope, go for it. So we had a big meeting at GSA. A very high-level person from the Bureau of Land Management from the Department of Interior walked into the room to talk to the GSA guy.
Yeah.
And he starts out with, hey, how'd you like that golf game we played last week? So all the GSA people, their mouths just fell open because they knew they had lost right from that. So to me, it represented taking a chance because literally, if they didn't go along with that, I could have gotten, not fired because they don't fire people in government, but really ousted. But I thought that was really a turning point. One, because I'm looking out for my employees. That's my number one, number one goal. And two, I'm willing to take risks to make that happen.
I have another question. Could you please describe a time when you had an aha moment that led you to a breakthrough in a project or initiative that you took?
My aha moment is, actually, I'm thinking a project that I'm working on now because I'm very concerned that there's a generation gap. Okay, the millennials and the Gen Xers don't get along and we have to work together to work forward. And I don't think, and I'm baby boomer, I don't think we did a good job of being revolutionaries, okay? But we didn't do a very good job of mentoring people you look at Congress, where's the mentorship there, right? We didn't do a very good job of mentoring people to take our place. We haven't done a very good job of protecting and educating employees. So Actually, hopefully my aha moment has come when I decided with the NCAA made the policy that said you can pay student athletes for playing sports. I decided, well, here's an opportunity to create, to me, a whole generation of business leaders, okay? Because in the past, they don't get any training in financial management. You're an athlete, you spend all your time in school, going to practice, blah, blah, blah. They really don't care if you get a degree, a lot of cases, right? You just play the sport. And only 2% of people in NCAA, and there are 450,000 students in NCAA sports in the United States.
That's huge.
And only 2% of them are going to go pro. At least 98% of those kids have the potential of leaving college with a degree that doesn't help them because they really didn't learn much in that. So my aha moment was, okay, here's an opportunity to go in there. So we're developing an educational program for college athletes in which our goal is that everyone in our program will leave with a business of their own.
Very nice.
A new generation of business owners. And it may be in sports, it may not be in sports. Maybe I'm a javelin thrower, but I want to have an art gallery. We will help them while they're in college create that business. So that's
the fastest path for wealth creation.
For everyone.
Being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it helps everyone. It helps the community they go back to. Right now, if they don't go pro, they go back to the community with what? They can't be a help to their own community. They can't be a help to their family. 68% of NFL players go broke within 3 years. Even if you go pro, 68% go broke within 3 years.
So, I mean, look, you've been in technology, sports, entertainment. How do you adapt your leadership style to all these different environments?
Well, it's sort of interesting. My master's degree from USC is in organizational behavior.
Okay.
So there are some personalities or some behaviors that it doesn't matter what you're in. Okay. So that's what I look for. What motivates people? People say I'm inspirational, whatever. But anyway, I'm able to really click into what's going to get you to do something, persuade you to do something. And it doesn't matter if you're in entertainment or not. And what I'm looking at with these students, like I said, they could be in one sport and not be interested. They want to do it in college, but don't want to do that afterwards. We have to zoom in on what they're good at. And one thing that they used to use me for when I was at the federal government, Department of Interior, was they would send people to me that they had no idea what to do with. And ironically, it was usually very intelligent people, but they were rebels. They were like, going to show up late or whatever. And they would send them to me. If I couldn't do anything with them, then they were done. But usually I could find what their skill set is, what they're best at, put them in that, put the round peg in that hole and get them to produce. And so that's sort of what I was famous for when I was with the Bureau of Land Management. And I was able to, again, get at what motivates people, hook on to that, and put them in a position where they could show their best side.
So what do you think is their incentive, these people, to do that from different walks of life? Because at the end of the day, everybody is driven by a purpose, an incentive. They don't just live lives like that.
I think people want to be respected.
Respected
for what their talent is and what they do. And that's what's sort of lacking these days.
Yeah.
You can make money,
yeah,
but you might not be,
That's true.
People may, they just got money because blah, blah, blah. Not because they're smart, not because they're talented. They just got that. So I think everybody has that self-actualization dream of, yes, people want to make money, but they also want people to think they deserved
That's true.
to make money.
Very true.
So that's what I feel.
Could you please share an example of a crisis you managed effectively and the approach you took?
Okay. We had many crises in the Bureau of Land Management.
I'm sure.
Bureau of Land Management, a very controversial agency. They had cattle grazing, they had oil and gas. So I would pick cattle grazing because that was one of our most controversial issues. What I was able to do with that, and I spoke to some people earlier today about that, was you have ranchers and you have environmentalists. Okay. And like never the twain shall meet, so to speak. So what I did is actually, and it was really coming to a head. You had, during the Reagan administration, they had, sell off all the public land. I mean, there was a lot of controversy going on. So what I was able to do in my leadership positions was to create committees and councils that had all of those people on there and give them specific goals. Okay, we need to decide by blah, blah, blah. And the fact that they had to meet and talk to each other in person, right?
Absolutely.
Not, and that's, of course, this was before.
The personal touch. Absolutely.
Yeah, this was before social media and all that.
Yeah.
But it made a big difference. Our goal is to help, let's say, New Mexico, economically, socially, and everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was pretty amazing what those folks who had very different goals could come up with. One of my regrets in leaving the Bureau of Land and retiring, I retired early, which was great. But one of my regrets was overall, that wasn't done in a lot of places. It was done in the states that I was, in charge of. And it worked very well because they would come up, I would say, okay, how do I sell this to this whole county?
Yep.
And each side, well, you'd have to do this, say it this way.
Yeah.
Do this, come visit, get a tour, and all of that type of stuff. But my biggest regret was nationally, I was never able to bring those two sides together, and guess what? Both lost. That's why I try to get people to think, you can both lose, okay? The ranchers lost. Ranch land has disappeared, right? It's gone away. The environmentalists lost because the ranch land goes away. Guess what? It turns into a shopping mall.
Yeah, very true.
Okay, that wasn't what they had in mind. Okay, so both sides didn't come together. So that's my regret. But where I was able to do it locally in certain areas, and to me it was a crisis because, it was just like guns and people, putting up flags upside down and all kinds of stuff like that, where you could get those people sitting in a room, talking to each other and lock the door. You can't, I had some of those meetings, you can't leave until we get to this question. We get an answer to this question. So that was my approach.
What do you think of this woke culture, ESG, all this bullshit out there, all this brainwashing for all the Gen Z, the kids? What do you think about all that stuff?
I'm surprised by it. Okay, I'll start with that. Because I grew up during the revolution. Okay, baby boomers, we were out there to change things, to challenge everything and make it happen. So I'm sort of surprised, but that's why generations flip. I'm very concerned about censorship. One, I like comedies. I love comedy clubs. A lot of my work is funny. I take serious subjects and put them in a funny manner so people can relate better to them. And I'm very concerned that you can't say too much about anything anymore. And that's not democracy.
So what do you think we should do about it? Because it's all about action.
Yeah.
We can bitch and moan as much as we can.
Yeah.
What do you think, as a member of the Project Liberty team, we should do about it?
Okay. One thing is encouraging people that do something about it. An example, I'm going to write her a letter. Martha Pollack, who's the president of Cornell University, recently, I guess the students there asked for some kind of system that would send signals out on people that are going to speak about whether you should be afraid of they're going to say something negative or whatever. And she said, no, free speech.
We should invite this person.
Yeah, because she got a lot of flack for saying, no, we're not going to have an early warning system. That's what it was, the early warning system.
Early warning?
For talks that may offend people. And she just didn't go for that.
I was looking at some statistics. Those who were born before 1946, there's basically 1% of them are pro-woke. Before 46. The baby boomers, 2%. The Gen X, 8%. The millennial,
and then you go
12%. The Gen Z, over 20%.
Yeah.
So at this rate, we're going, by the year 2050, will always be woke.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is,
Well,
this is becoming so ridiculous.
It's a lack of discipline. It's a lot. I know I was discouraged. I've taught a lot of my life. I've been a teacher, university level, etc. And while we're going to pass fail, to me, that's not fair to people who actually put in more effort. Okay. And so that discouraged me from really teaching after a while. And so it's the same sort. Everybody doesn't get a ribbon.
Yeah.
This is what I say. I'm into sports. Sports is competitive. Okay. I like sports. Everybody doesn't win. Everybody can't win.
Absolutely.
Everybody should compete. And I'm really concerned about the way now there's no standards. Everybody is judged the same, and it's not. Everybody's not the same. I'm very into competition, and that's what to me is lacking. And a lot of the woke, and I'm not saying I'm anti-woke or pro-woke or anything else. I'm looking at individual circumstances. But any time that we just say, well, you can't come speak because I don't like what you're going to say. That doesn't make sense.
Care.
I'm not for banning books. I'm not for any of that. And I'm very dismayed. I'm actually very concerned because I think it's very anti-democratic what's going on right now. And we're supposed to be the model for the world in democracy, and I don't think we're acting that way.
I agree with you. And this is one of the pillars of the Financial Policy Council, is to spread democracy, freedom of speech, all this kind of stuff. What made you join the Financial Policy Council? What specific traits, features made it you really that this is a real organization I want to be part of, and why?
Okay, to tell you the truth, you're the reason that I joined.
Thank you. Thank you.
The council, and I was pleasantly surprised to be invited to join the council. One, because I've known you now for 3 years.
That's true.
And I like people of action. I'm a results-oriented person.
Perfect.
So it was interesting that I was in government for 29 years, but
which is exactly the opposite.
Yeah, I know. But I think I accomplished a few things in there. But there is so much going on in this country, and people are talking, okay, and not enough acting, not enough follow through. So I saw in your organization people that are super bright, which is very nice because we have an education problem in this country. People who are very intelligent, people who have principles. And I'm an independent person, so always been independent. I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and that's not important to me. Important to me is that you have a rationale for what you're doing and you stick to it. And that's what I like about this council. People are very committed to what they're doing.
Where would you like the organization to go 5 years from now? What's your dream? What you say, in 5 years, well, we really made it big time.
I think a lot of things you've been talking about, that we're the spokesperson. What I liked the Bureau when it came to the point where the media called me if something was happening. What do you think? Okay. And that's what I see this organization being
We want every person in the organization to be an influencer,
right,
approached by the media to share these views, this philosophy, etc.
That's exactly what I see. And
we're so much in sync. I love it.
Yeah. And you have, the capability of doing that with people that we have here. So that's exciting. That's rare. Okay. As now people are trying to avoid making commitments and making promises and saying that.
Do you know a similar organization in the States that does what we do? Honestly.
No.
Okay. That's a big compliment.
No.
And providing a voice, a platform for the members, which none of the other nonprofits can do or is doing.
Yeah, because it's dangerous for them to do it with their constituents.
That's
right?
very true.
I just think you're plowing new ground. I'm an initiator. I start things. That's what I do. And so the fact that you're starting up this excited me.
We're so much in sync. I love it. They say the best definition of a partner is when one starts a sentence, the other one can finish it.
Definitely.
And I feel, and I strongly believe with you, we're pretty much in sync on that. Although we've known each other for a short period of time, relatively. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a meeting of the minds. And this is exactly what we're trying to instill and build within the Financial Policy Council.
And we have conversations where we sort of do that, answering each other or, predicting what the other person's going to say. So
that's right.
Yeah, we're definitely in sync. So I'm very excited to be a part of, to be invited to be a part of this, because I'm a little different from a lot of people around.
We like different people.
And that's what I appreciate.
One last question,
Sure.
Denise. How would you define yourself in one word or one sentence?
I think people say inspirational.
Inspiration.
Sort of a role model in what I have done, been the first this, first that, but that I've maintained my principles. And people think that you can't do that, you can and win, but I have done that. So I hope that's and people have said that to me, inspirational.
Thank you so much for your time, your support, and all your resourcefulness. Thank you, Denise.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.